Don't worry too much about it.
I'm so glad you're such a possible.
I don't even think I'm going because I want to talk to David during his office hours, and that's at the same time as our assessment class. And but you guys are just doing like it's a very informal class, anyways. So
Yeah, she said she's gonna give us tips on like how to get.
yeah, so I might ask her to email those to me.
Yeah.
But
I have to write up my functional stuff, so she doesn't want it online.
I know, I
This is
heard.
very like.
It's just because she doesn't have any more money to print or something on her account.
So having the actual like URL, you can
So she can mark it. Maybe if you just, if you're okay with just having like an online copy sent back to you, maybe that's what she wants.
After school.
It really doesn't take me that long.
Type
Maybe
it,
like 10 minutes.
print it, bring it up to your office.
Yeah. Just slip it under her door.
Okay guys, so we did our unit plan on the Nuitso Francophone. So the main kind of big ideas that we're talking about today is that Francophone culture roughly is part of Canadian culture, and that each Canadian culture celebrates in their own way, and there's a lot of diversity in that. So we're going to be talking about how food can impact Canadian culture, and from that, students are going to have a chance to develop their vocabulary. So we're going to pretend that we have absolutely no French food vocabulary, and we're going to be developing that throughout the lesson, and by the end of the unit, groups of students are going to have the opportunity to become experts on a Francophone culture, and then like create a menu for their culture, and then create like a dish, and have like a personal dictionary of food terms. So yeah.
So we kind of just broke down our focus on the unit, or our goals of the unit, and we don't need to go into much detail because you guys can read, but basically we like to start with the vocab, like Alexa said, and then build up from there. So it's really, we're doing a lot of gradual release and responsibility in our unit, because we're starting with a lot of modeling and a lot of copying for them to learn and really memorize those vocabs so that they're able to utilize it in activities and then becoming the expert. So that's kind of our model of our whole unit, is really starting with giving them the vocab, presenting it both verbally and written, so that they can later on apply it into other ways. But yeah, that's just the layout of that right there.
Okay, so for lesson 1, just a quick overview. So students will have a chance to talk about their favorite foods in English, and then if they were to know the term in French, that would be translated together. And then students can take out their personal dictionary of French terms that they could have for that course, and they would be writing those terms down. So then once we have like a brief kind of overview of the class's favorite word, the teacher would have a PowerPoint presentation of kind of some key food terms that we're going to be talking about over the unit, and the teacher would be using modeling and core reading to make sure that the students know the terms and practicing pronunciation, and then again, the words would be written on the PowerPoint, and then students would be writing them in the personal dictionaries. And then this game is really cool. This game can be adapted for any subject, for any grade, but it's J'ai, qui a, or like I have, who has. So essentially, there's like cards with 2 images, so you would go around and you say, J'ai la pomme qui a le maïs, so I have the apple who has the corn, and then someone else would say, J'ai le maïs qui a le poulet, j'ai le poulet qui a the pair, so on and so forth, and then students would form a line, and then that would just get them mingling and talking about food, and and then for kind of concluding activity, we would do like a quick relay race where the teacher would have an image and we would run up on the board and at the term.
So it's really neat because we're moving from that lesson that has a lot of practicing with like memory tools and that kind of a thing with the visuals and also hearing it. So they're really getting that vocab and that's them practicing it. So then we're further going on to apply it in lesson 2, which we're actually going to be presenting today. So I'm not going to go too much into it. You can kind of look at the overview. The things I do want to talk about while on the slide is the kind of highlighted. So we're involving students in the construction of the activity. And this is really crucial because it's getting them to think about the questions that they would need to ask. So then they're seeing the relevance and the necessity of those questions. So they feel a little bit more meaning with them and a little bit more attachment because they have constructed them themselves. And the other thing, that was just our assessment will be an exit slip with written. So again, the first lesson we were just doing a lot of verbal. We're moving on to written, so it's a little bit more each time.
So for lesson 3, just really quickly, so students would be going into their groups and they would be assigned a festival, cultural festival. So whether that be like through a hat or whatever, like rock, paper, scissors, they'll be assigned a festival. And they have, each group has a handout of questions they're responsible for answering. And then the students will have the responsibility of doing the research for the festivals, and they can do that research however they want, come through internet or books, or do a poster, or however they want. They just have the responsibility of becoming that expert for that cultural festival, and maybe going in further into detail about the food that each cultural festival has, and that can be anywhere in the world, but Canada, I guess. And then for lesson 4, I think this is one of my favorite ones. Students will get to choose one meal and prepare a recipe in French. So going back to the first lesson where they have those French terms, in their personal dictionary, they can talk about their cultural festival, and once they've done a little bit of background research, they can look for a really cool recipe or a meal that is highly known in that cultural festival, and they can start to develop kind of like makeshift recipe for that food and kind of talk about and then just go quickly.
Basically, the end of our unit would be this festival cafe or a day of sharing the festivals. And this is really neat because once you're a teacher of something, that means you know it. And I think we all know that, and that's what we want to have with our students. So we're kind of passing on the teaching role of the students to teach about the different festivals and different cultures. And really the goal is not for everyone to learn a lot about these festivals, but it's a practice of using French language of food and writing the French and answering questions, asking questions. It's a really interactive way to kind of practice these vocabulary we know. The whole thing wouldn't be expected to be in French. That's really important to know. It's just a way to get them thinking about food, and it's still going. It's just you're good. And that's kind of a summary of our unit. We thought we'd just give that out, and if anyone would like it, we obviously can give a copy of it because it's way easier to see it all written out. But for right now, we're actually going to do our presentation of lesson 2.
Okay, so.
Oh, Lex, there's a slide on the next one.
Oh, okay, cool.
But this is just saying that, just a reminder that previously, lesson 2, the one we're about to present, we would have established this vocab list and had some practice with it. So keep that in mind that this isn't completely fresh, and you guys actually had this practice with food vocab, so that's okay. And then just some things to note, that it's always important to provide visuals, to model pronunciation, get students up and moving, and participate in the activity yourself, so that students can learn a little bit about you. So we would have begun the lesson with this hook, and it's really, really simple. We would have just, everyone would be sitting kind of like we are now, and then I would just say, stand up when I ask you this question, qui aime, and that means who likes. And as I do that, I would hold up a picture, so there's a visual, with the name of that food. So, la crème glacée, for example. And then, if you like that food, you would stand up. So it's purely a movement of answering the question. So there's no verbal yet. And this is just thinking about what foods you do and don't like, and you're hearing the pronunciation. So that would be our hook. We're not going to do that today. We have something else we're going to do, but that would be the hook.
Yeah, in this lesson we're talking about we want to know what other people like, so that when we create our recipe, we kind of know what ingredients to use, so that other people in the class would enjoy it.
Yeah, let's move on. We got not much time.
Okay. Okay, so at this part of the lesson, we'll be co-creating the questions with the student. So when you're going to be talking about and mingling with your classmates and talking about, you're going to be asking them what they like and what they don't like, or if they like something or if they don't like something. So would anyone have an idea of what kind of questions you need to ask to find out that information? So how would you ask someone what food they like, or if they like a food? Maya?
Ask them like what their favorite food is, like the pétan préféré. Really too.
Yeah, so write that one on the board. So quel est ta nourriture préférée? Yeah.
So this is just an example of how we would get the questions constructed. Right now we don't have the time for it, so we're going to just show you that we could do it something like that. We ask in English, we translate for them, then we repeat it with the class. Just an example of how we would do it. Today we provided you with this one and now this one here to do our activity. So we're going to actually get up and doing that. Basically what you do is you go and you mill about and you ask this question or this question. And then they give the reply of either oui, j'aime la crème glacée, for example, or say non, je n'aime pas la crème glacée. So this is just how we'll do it today, and you can go around and you can check mark the boxes, maybe with an initial if someone does like one of these, and put an X if they don't like it. We'll put up the vocab for you to go off of so you have a little bit of assistance today.
Normally in this, if this was a real lesson, we would have this vocab co-constructed with the students, or they would have it in their personal dictionaries that they could go back and use. But for now, we're just going to give you the vocabulary, and you guys can kind of go up and mingle and kind of ask around what question. So this is to create a tally near the end of the lesson to see what foods are the most liked in the classroom, so that when we create our menu, we can have ingredients that the class really enjoys.
Doing it right. That's good. As well. And then we can
Where?
I don't know, just move on.
Rachel.
Here.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, what kind of work is that?
Qu'est-ce que tu
Est-ce que tu aimes
Est-ce que tu
les fraises?
Okay. Merci.
J'adore.
Carmen. Est-ce que tu
Oui, j'aime la crème glacée.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Est-ce que tu aimes
tu aimes la
Maya, est-ce que tu aimes
bonbon?
le chocolat?
Moi aussi.
Oui, j'aime le chocolat. Kaylee, est-ce que
Oui, j'aime le crème glacée.
Hey, Tara.
Tu aimes
Oui,
la Ok, merci.
Est-ce que tu aimes Rachel, est-ce que tu aimes
Oh oui, c'est cool. J'aime les bonbons. Merci.
Maya, est-ce que tu aimes
Quelle est
la banane?
J'aime la banane. La banane. Rachel, est-ce que tu aimes les œufs?
Do you like any of these things?
Okay,
Good stuff. All right, thank you, class. Okay, back in your seats.
Merci.
So to wrap up this lesson, we would actually get them to go back and do the standing up activity again, but this time talking about someone else. So I would actually say, qui aime la crème glacée? And then someone would stand if they had an answer about someone else. So we're changing it from talking about yourself, about what you like, to talking about someone else in the class. So it's really talking about our language of how we word those types of things, and you're practicing the conjugation of to like. It's pretty simple, like you've seen, but really this is the kind of practice that is necessary in one lesson. It shouldn't be an overwhelming amount, and that's what we kind of were aiming for. And then we would get them to, on an exit slip, write 3 new things you learned about someone else. And that's just to get out the door and to get them thinking about the written for the first time in this lesson. Yeah. Do you have anything else to add?
No, and then I think further on, I think it's in the next lesson, we would create a tally, and that would have some cross-curricular math activities going on, and counting up who likes what, and creating a graph for it, and then, yeah.
And then it helps us in the future when we create recipes, because now we know what people like and don't like, hopefully. Yeah, and that's a good summary of our lesson. Any questions?
I thought it was just really thorough presentation of the lesson and unit plan, and I thought it was very useful and applicable. Maybe get a copy.
Thanks. That's nice.
Another comment.
I like the pictures to look to when you're doing this activity, and I thought maybe we could have like the names for the pictures as well to refer to.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you wanted to make it more difficult, I'm not sure, you could like have them like mix and match and then like find out which word goes with what picture. But yeah, just having the word.
Cool. Yeah, we actually kind of debated that a little bit and decided in the lesson plan, we actually wrote if a student is really struggling with French, then we would include the words. But the idea is to apply it, I guess. But you're right, because it really depends on where people are at in the class. So that would be a good adaptation, words or not words, or maybe some words. So yeah, I really like that. Thank you.
And any other comments? Going once? Going twice? Oh, is that an option Thursday night? Okay, that's it.